How's it going, everyone? It's your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. And ladies and gents, boys and girls, Duggers and Diggers, Monster Hunters and Monster Honeys, we are playing some Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate today. Now, I've been really slow on doing these videos. There's like 3 more. I will shoot them out to you literally every day for the rest of this week. This week being, well, I don't know, the weeks don't have names, but it's February 19th. I'm gonna have a video for you guys every single day up until I'm done with the videos I have in my little stash. So regardless, we are fighting Duramboros today. Duramboros is a monster who actually got his debut in the 3rd generation, Monster Hunter Portable 3rd to be exact. It was a game that was originally released in Japan for the PlayStation Portable, but we've yet to actually truthfully get the game legitimately. However, he was available to be played stateside via Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Now, he's one of my favorite Brute Wyverns. He is a Brute Wyvern. A Brute Wyvern is, you know, the usual monster. You don't necessarily fly, but they usually have stubby arms, sometimes have big arms. Brachiodos is an exception. Regardless, the main purpose for them to actually be very angry a lot and do lots of damage, and for the most part use their bodies to actually do the damage that they're going to be doing to you. Speaking of doing the damage and their bodies, Duramboros is a very interesting Brute Wyvern because he actually has this crazy ability that people like to refer to him as Twinkle Toes, because he actually spins. He spins around using centrifugal force to actually throw his body in the air and slam his body back down to the ground. Now, if you get hit with this attack, it's going to hurt a lot. Now, getting hit with the spinning, not so much, but it will knock around a little bit. Odds are, if you do get hit with it at least once, sometimes you might get hit with twice, 3 times even, because they kind of combo into themselves. It's kind of weird. However, the Duramboros, he is very susceptible to that of fire. So if you have fire weapons, you can actually deal with them very easily. Now, his weak spot is actually pretty unique-ish. Normally, a weak spot for a monster would be his head. Now, Duramboros, you can hit him in the head. It will do a good amount of damage to him. That's fine. But his weak spot is actually the 2 humps that's on his back. Now, and actually to hit this hump, you must first, maybe mount the monster, use weapons like the Intake Glaive, or use aerial styles. Or if he spins around and slams his body on the ground, you are actually able to easier, is that even a word? Much easier. It is a much easier way, rather, to actually hit the humps on his back. His lower hump to be exact. Once these humps break, though, because they can be broken, once they break, they will do large amounts of damage to this monster. It is a huge, massive weak spot for him. So when fighting him, remember that his weak spots are going to be his head for the most part. I guess as you actually progress to his humps, break those humps and then do damage to those humps. With weaknesses and weak spots located, let's talk about actually fighting Duramboros, because he's a bit of a tricky monster to fight because he likes to keep you at bay. With his very long tail and hammer-like club at the end of it, he tends to slam the ground in a lot of areas, making sure that you aren't able to actually approach him from behind. He will actually back up and do the same exact attack as well, so making, again, approaching from behind relatively risky to do. Again, on top of that, he can actually spin, like I said before, making it, again, more difficult to just approach the monster. But the one weakness of that of Duramboros is that he's actually quite slow. So if you can actually get in from the front, which I would recommend, or even his side, you can actually do lots of good damage to his hind leg, maybe even toppling the monster so that you can hit those humps. Now, speaking of toppling the monster, if you can actually interrupt his spinning attack, he will fall over. And when he falls over, he will expose both humps on his back, making it sure that you can actually do large damage to those humps. Now, again, it's all really predicated on the fact that he doesn't move very quickly. So take advantage of that. Use quicker hitting weapons or stronger slapper weapons, things like the great sword, maybe even the hammer, of course. But I would personally recommend using quicker weapons like the sword and shield, dual blades, Intake Glaive, weapons like that, so that way you can actually get in, do quick damage, and get out if need be. Also, again, they're a lot easier to jump on top of his back with the aerial style, so that way you can do the damage that way, as opposed to other weapons like Lance, of course, which is a bit more difficult to actually do that with. Valor is also another really good skill to use for the most part when using, not just a skill, but style to use when fighting Duramboros. Most of the weapon types that actually use Valor, they benefit greatly from the fact that he does tend to punish you with his tail. But again, like I said before, he is quite slow. So Valoring through one of those attacks will allow you to go straight through into the weak spot, into the weak zone rather, his hurt box if you will, and do the damage that you actually need. Next, let's talk briefly about the gear that Duramboros can actually give you. Now, once you fight him, do enough damage to him, kill him a couple times, capture him if you will, you're going to get these parts. His parts, of course, are going to be used to make gear, armor, and weapons. Now, let me say this about his weapons first and foremost. Every single weapon he has, save for the bow guns, simply because I'm not a very prominent bow gun user, I couldn't quite tell you exactly what's good about it. I did notice that the bow guns, they have relatively decent amounts of pellet shots, 7 in each level, so that's I guess good for people who like to use that, but then again it has high recoil, but it has very high damage as well. So I guess, I mean, it might be good. I'm not 100% certain about that. I apologize for those of you wondering about the bow guns. However, his Blade Master weapons, every single one of them are great. Every single one. They each have about 340 attack raw and tend to get natural white sharpness, a pretty decent amount of white sharpness nevertheless. Now he does have, I believe, one weapon that actually has purple sharpness. Granted, you actually need to have handicraft +2 to actually acquire it. Thing is the hyper hammer. It has 320 attack, but the main trade-off for that is that eventually you can get purple sharpness. Purple sharpness in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate is actually nerfed quite a bit, so for the most part I don't really recommend people to use the purple sharpness weapons if you have to split hairs to get it, so remember that. Now, he does not have any elements. All his weapons are raw damage weapons, and they're all very, very, very good. So if you really are thinking, hey, I want a raw damage weapon, and you're not really picky about affinity because he doesn't necessarily have any, these are some fantastic weapons to have. Now, weapons aside, his armor is actually pretty interesting. Two variants to it. There's a high rank armor, there's a G rank armor. His high rank armor is pretty straightforward. It gives you Destroyer and 9 points into fast charge. One more point into that will actually give you the skill fast charge, or focus if you will, allowing you to actually charge certain attacks like greatsword slashes, hammer charges, dual blade, demon mode, and a couple other things. I think bow as well is affected by this, but weapons that actually have charge attacks, charge abilities if you will be decreased. The speed in which it actually gets to maximum charge will be decreased. So that's kind of cool. Destroyer, it allows you to do more damage to weak parts of the monster. For example, the humps on his back I spoke about. If you have Part Breaker or Destroyer, and you have a means to actually hit those humps on his back, you're going to do more damage to those humps than someone who doesn't actually have it. So that's actually a pretty cool skill to have. This is high rank though. G rank, it gets even better. You get both fast charge and Destroyer, and you also get this really cool move called Brawn. Now what Brawn does is, for the most part, Brawn is essentially the go-to de facto hammer ability. It gives you, it's actually two abilities in one. It gives you Stamina Thief and Knockout King. Now granted, Knockout King isn't the greatest ability out there with hammer users. Most of them tend to actually stray from it, but if you're going to get it for free, why not take it? And plus, Stamina Thief is actually pretty good at making monsters become more fatigued, especially if you use impact weapons like hammer or even the hunting horn. Now, with that being said, that's for the most part all his gear and everything, and essentially everything you really need to know about the Duramboros. He's not a very tough monster to fight. He isn't a very super interesting monster to quite honestly deal with, but he's a pretty cool monster to look at. His design and the things that make him what he is very unique. The fact that he actually can spin around with a monster of his size and then fly in the air and come back down again is pretty gosh darn cool. Now lastly, one thing I want to mention before I end this video is that when he's fatigued, he is very slouchy. Okay, he becomes a lot slower. All of his attacks are much slower. If you don't even attack him, he will essentially fall over when he tries to spin, again making it to where you can actually hit those humps. So if you can get him fatigued with a skill like Stamina Thief, you're going to be in great hands. But with that being said, everyone, it's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I promise I'll get you more videos pretty gosh darn soon, as soon as I'm able, hopefully for the rest of this week. After that, we're going to be doing Monster Hunter World videos. I still need to give you guys my Witcher video. As I speak right now, I have yet to do the Witcher video, any of the Witcher content, so I need to actually address some of that for you guys. If anything, the main quest that you get for the Witcher and the Ancient Leshen monster hunt. Once I actually complete that quest and successfully make a video for it, it will go up literally the day it's done, or the second it's done. If I have another one of these videos going up as well, you guys are going to get 2 videos for the price of 1. But with that being said, you all take care. It's been your boy.